Yeah, what I think is, yeah, of course there is a. I think we need to reevaluate all the Inca chronology. Is kind of too short time, no. But also, and that is something that I remember one of my teachers in grad school say a lot. The archaeology is best in big scale of times and space. That is where the archaeology do some things that nobody can do, right? Sometimes we that working in Incas, we try to do archaeology of 70 years or 100 years. We tend to be kind of incomplete,
It's
right?
one error range in the radiocarbon
Right. They
date.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So we end up, yeah, we end up helping more the ethnographic account than making archaeology by itself. When we change the scale and we beginning to see all the pre-Hispanic culture as a continuum and the Hispanic contact, I think archaeology can give us a better understanding of the whole process in general in the Andes, right? The other thing, there is a lot of changes now in how we conceptualize the past in Peru, right? We are start to pushing aside this idea of the particularity of the Andean world, right? That make it so difficult to say something because 10 years ago, a person saying what I am saying now, it will be impossible because everybody will jump over me because it's fundamental say that the Incas have a different thought system, like mental structure that Occidentals, right? If that is true, need to be this quiebre, this broke, this rupture between pre-Hispanic and Hispanic, right? If we consider that maybe the Andes are special, as any culture is special, so we can understand how the Spaniards were able to adapt to an Andean landscape without being this Jodorov lack of communication, right? But that is a development. It's possible to have these conceptions about landscape and heritage because we are beginning to realize the Andean culture is particularly as any culture is particular and comparable as little or as much as any culture is comparable, right? And there is a levels of understanding between Hispanics and Incas, and actually the interesting the roads let us reconstruct that translation, let's say, right? Because road is something that both of them use it. And more or less for their, but also I think I said it before, but also it's important how we are thinking in heritage. Heritage beginning to be about people now, and I think it's a byproduct of Qhapaq Ñan Project. The whole heritage management is making more formal because this is an idea that have many years ago, that is out there many years ago. But formally, Peruvian state is incorporating that at the end of the heritage management should be people. We need people at the end of our actions, right? And I think it's a better reconstruction. I remember many years ago when I was in Pachacamac, somebody told me, okay, so the site is for everybody, but you have a big wall surrounding the site. So nobody can get inside. There is not a paradox there, right? And there is a paradox there. I think that in the recent years we are changing that paradox and we say, yes, we want people to get in the site, to appropriate the site, to make the site part of the life. They use the site as a public space. I like that idea. No, it's a space that is it's a public space in the whole sense of the word. No?
So you mentioned this already, but I just want to hear more about how does Qhapaq Ñan engage the local community? What are some of the interactions and outreach program between Qhapaq Ñan and let's say the indigenous communities, the Quechua-speaking communities?
It's very difficult. We have like basic some lines of behavior, basic lines of behaviors. The first one is listen, right? And make it in this way is more expensive sometimes and more slow, but it's the best way to make more impact, long-lasting impact. No, you need to get to a community and start for listen. And people have something to say about the size, the government, the state, yourself, the dog, or whatever. But you need to sit down and listen. And you need to listen in the organizations of the community. You need to go to the asamblea, you need to go to the municipalidad, you need to respect the ways of the community. You need to put yourself in Urim position, in a subaltern position in some way, right? We tend to be very difficult for guys like me that, I don't know, I have 20 years studying archaeology. So sometimes, come back and put this subordinate position can be challenging, right?
As a professor, we're always put in a subordinate position to our students.
Oh,
so, the students always
that is supposedly because my teachers they were not so much subordinated for sure.
Yeah. Things have changed. Things have changed now.
I know. In some way now the students have more voice, right, in the system. That didn't happen before in our times, we used to have, I don't know you, but at least me, relation with my advisor when, if I have some thought, was because my advisor was close enough to let me have thoughts. Now we have more voices, and that is good. The second thing that we do is try to plan with them actions together with the people, right? Because we discover that it's all the people have, like everybody, communities and everybody else have fluctuantes relations,
fluid
relations with the heritage, right? And if you come and say, I am thinking to do the project, the people is gonna tell you, perfect, mostro, okay, let's go. If you come and say, but you need to put this and that, the people are going to say, I don't know if I like it, right? So sometimes we tend to idealize or infantilize the local communities, thinking that they're going to be so wonderful with your talk that they're going to decide to put the economic necessities in circle position for a cultural ideals that you are telling to them. And that was so irreal. And it's funny because people, archaeologists, still talk in that terms. But when I hear an archaeologist talking about in that way, I think, you never work with a community. Because, it's make it, the people in the Andes is so silly that it's gonna buy your talk and it's gonna be waiting for you to come with no money to fix the archaeological site of the community. And if they don't want it, you get indignated and aggravated because it's heritage and so that is not working, right? So we first listen and then we propose things that we can plan together. And we discover when people invest in something, keep the compromise, the commitment with that thing, right? So the moment that the community put time, money, or effort, you begin to have allies. So you need to listen first, and after listen, make things together. And nobody tells you no. Nobody has, everybody wants culture and heritage. Nobody have a negative discourse against it. At least until they see heritage as a way to lose land. And that is the thing that you need to avoid. For example, one of the things that we do is we go to the field with them, right? And say, okay, this is the road, we want to propose this. So we present a map, they validate in the assemblies, in the communities, and so on. And after that, we go with people from the community to the field and put the hitos, the markers, in the field with people from the community. So far, nobody tells us no. Sometimes it's more long, sometimes it's more short, but actually people are interested and then beginning to realize that heritage give also ways to protect their land. It's not just that we are taking out some land, it's that we are putting some charge in agricultural areas that are under pressure of urban or mining expansion. So the whole cultural heritage is a tool that communities can use to protect the land, right? But you need to be clear about pros and cons of being part of the heritage, and you need to talk, and you need to listen, and you know that is several months of people going to the town and coming back and so on. You know. More easy, more fast is come as a very vertical, top down, and say, okay, this is archaeological and it's heritage of the nation, and you know, and beginning a confrontation that end up with the destruction of the heritage and no benefit anybody, right? And that is how Peru was managing their archaeological sites, and I think it's something is awesome of what we are doing in Qhapaq Ñan is we are helping to change that chip, and we are helping to understand that the only meaning of heritage is in present day people, right? Not in the past, not in the Incas. That is the archaeological value that me as an archaeologist and you as archaeology we love, right? But the value as a heritage, if had value for present day people.
Yeah.
Right?
And we are a particular actor in the present that's interested
right,
in
the past,
in the
but,
past or in these heritage.
but we are just one small actor, right? And sometimes I feel like for decades the small actor decide what need to be the heritage for everybody. What we think is time to change, and let's the biggest actor decide what the heritage should be. No,
shifting of agency.
it's shifting of agency. The heritage management is not the authorized the heritage discourse, right? It's no the authority is the facilitator, right? So my work is less about decide what to do with the Qhapaq Ñan that allowing the Qhapaq Ñan to be what the people want the Qhapaq Ñan to be, right? I need to facilitate that that public space, that public encounter. The heritage is part of a process. It's a process, really, when people is going to be negotiating and changing meanings, right? And it's okay, no? And that is the fun part.
If you don't mind sharing with us, what are some particular challenges of this job?
Size. Keep track and effective protection of almost 30,000 kilometers in rural areas is really challenging. Despite that we have a budget, I have the budget to take care of these 30,000 kilometers that is similar at the budget that you need to make maintenance of 1 kilometer of present-day highway, right? If you make a budget about how expensive is 1 kilometer of present-day highway, it's the same budget they have for everything, right? That is the first problem. The second problem is...
So you mentioned 30,000 kilometer. Is that the...
In Peru, more or less.
Is that the area or is that the length of the...
The length.
Oh, okay.
More or less.
So it's an estimated 30,000
yeah,
kilometer.
Yeah, and it's estimated because when you begin to study a road system, you have first level, second level road, third level roads, even 4 and 5 level roads. So always depends on how much you count. Or we discovered sometimes that we have parallel roads. Both Incas parallel roads because they go to other sites. And a system is a very complex thing, but we are thinking in linear meters, more or less around 30,000. Just in Peru, 60,000 in whole South America.
A good Wikipedia number.
Yeah,
30,000.
Yeah,
30,000 kilometers.
Let's put it right, more or less, approx.
Okay.
Right?
18,000 miles, I guess.
Yeah, more or less.
More or less.
That is one challenge. The other challenge is that Peru is a neoliberal state where the investment and infrastructure are an important part of the model of development, right? And that is, for the reason that we talked before, that is in direct conflict with the Inca Road, right? In general, we are very lucky, and we were able to stop some big projects, or reform the big project, because we don't want to stop anything, but we think that it's possible to do it in a better way, affecting less Inca Road, right? So, yeah, sometimes feel like I don't know if you know the expression "molinos de viento," fighting with the windmills.
Don Quixote.
That is Don Quixote, exactly. Because you go and fight it's like we are fighting for protect 1 kilometer, 10 kilometers farther north, they're destroying another one, right? So you feel like, and we are over our head with this, right? And the problem is that the rest of the society don't have any idea. It's impressive. Peruvian society don't have an idea the level of heritage that they have, the quantities, right? They think that it's a problem about Machu Picchu, Chan Chan, and other big sites, but when you begin to see roads, andenes, and all this landscape, and this is a landscape that is really, really constructed, no? So, yeah, society as a whole don't have an idea of what we are talking, right? When I say Qhapaq Ñan, or they don't know what I am talking, or they immediately think in the Inca Trail, the Cusco Inca Trail, this little piece that is very tourist, and so on. So one of my challenges try to make Qhapaq Ñan accessible to the big public, right? A big public that actually don't want to see Qhapaq Ñan, right? That is another big challenge, right? Yeah, no. And the third big challenge is work for the state. The state have the dynamics that make it very difficult. Dynamics that I understand in the sense that you need to keep money safe, you need to be disciplined with expenses and so on. But sometimes the political crisis make your bosses change so fast that it's very difficult to keep a same line of question. And actually that is something that our project is lucky, because we have more or less the same organization for the last 6 years, but that is very weird, very strange in the state. And usually you have changes and reinventions every 2 years or 3 years, which at the end end up not allowing to do anything, right? That is the other big challenge, right? Yeah, this is more or less money, ubiquities of the good, and be part of the state.
I mean, it's very difficult to present Qhapaq Ñan. As you said, here's 30,000 kilometers of roads. How do you have an effective presentation of that to the public?
We invest a lot in education. We think that the Qhapaq Ñan is a good excuse to work capacities with heritage, right? Not just teach about archaeology or history, because that is not what we are talking, but I think that playing with heritage allow you to play with some of the educational skills, let's say, no? So yeah, we try to invest a lot in education. We try to invest a lot in information, which come with research, right? We need to do research. We need to do research that allow us to give new and interesting quality information to the people, right? So that is what we are trying to do. The problem again is the quality is always more slow, right? Sometimes um, take us time to get really, really massive. Right? We are growing publics, and I think it's people that know what is Qhapaq Ñan and heritage that didn't know before. In some way, we are kind of a marca now, like a mark, and not Qhapaq Ñan. But I still thinking that is far to be a popular concept. Not popular in the sense of everybody's concept, no. But I think that is changing day to day. No? Education is key. Education is key. Outreach, no, even for the protection, because we can be the police, right? Because it's too big and too complex for us to be able to be the police the road. We need to make work before that. So give information beforehand. What we discovered that is very helpful, for example, if we go to El Ministerio de Transportes, which is transportations and roads, the ones who build roads, and give our data, they try to avoid the conflict with the road, right? But that implies a proactive action from us, right? And that is something that is also changing, because before we were like, come on, it's heritage, it's important because it's important. But that is something to understand you, me, and other archaeologists, right? We don't even need to explain what is heritage for somebody to make roads. Just tell me where is the road, the Inca road, and I'm going to try to avoid it. And that is perfect. I give information ahead, and they try to avoid conflicts, right? That is important. The other thing that we saw is important to keep presence in the road, like stay present, keep people interested, right? If you come talk to them and you don't come back in 20 years, they're gonna lose interest, right? You can say, oh, the heritage is important for the life, or for this and for that, but the next day you go and never appear again. You don't gonna accomplish nothing, right? But if you are there, you talk about there, and then you walk the process with them and help them to go to other state institutions and be with them in the communal cleaning and so on. Your example is the better way to sell this idea of cogestión and defense and all that.
Great. Finally, we talked about the challenges and problems of working in this project. Now let's talk about the other side. What are the particularly rewarding aspect of this project, the highs of this job, the moments when, as I say, I can't believe they're paying me for this.
Personally, in the moment that I were more tired of all these problems, it comes to me the idea that for a moment I am part of a change in mentality. You remember? Remember we were talking about that, and I was saying this change. I think that being the Qhapaq Ñan Project allowed me to see how the ideas that I developed in a grad school can make an impact. Right? This idea, that concept of, for example, landscape, of movement, things that some moment you saw in a very academic environment, then you see it, how apply it to the reality, really can work or not work, and really can make a change, right? So it's like, oh, I studied 20 years, but look, that things were not useless as I thought at some moment. They really can make a change. They really can make an impact. So the idea that in some way we are contributing to a change in mentality about heritage in Peru is something that I found really rewarding. And it's like, yeah, I think at the end of the day, that is what we want, that our work have some impact. No?
Was it something about the Inca planning of the roads as a certain movement, presentation of the landscape itself through a ritual route? When I was at Ollantaytambo, I really saw a theatrical aspect of the presentation Ollantaytambo, you enter this small entrance, and you take this corner, and there it is, the terraces of Ollantaytambo presented to you.
Yeah, there is this component, and it's clear, especially in some areas. But the risk is sometimes we tend to prioritize some contents over the others, right? And the Inca Road is highly ceremonial and highly performance and highly designed in that way, but it's also bluntly economic and keep it by day to day, right? And in general, every infrastructure is both things. It's a state-driven, planified, very ideological expression of power and blah, blah, blah. But also is the daily life of people. So in other dimension, and sometimes it's a very present topic in social theory, how to link a structure with practice, right? I find out that the roads are a good way because the roads are usually built by the structure but maintained in the practice, more or less. So I think that is also a very interesting topic about the road. No?
Well, Dr. Marcone, thank you so much for your time, your expertise.
Thank you for the attention to the road and to me.
And we hope to see you in Ann Arbor, Michigan soon.
Well, glad. Yeah, I like Ann Arbor.
Come visit us. And thank you very much. Thank you, Giancarlo.
Thank you, Howard. Último paneo.